This is what's going to come through during the day tomorrow, and it will set us up for increasing chances of thunderstorms, not just tonight, but into the day.
Now, so tree damage, power outages are looking likely as we head through the duration of this system.
911, what's your emergency?
작년의 상처가 아직 다 아물지도 않았는데 다시 돌아온다고 한다. 겨울, 윈터스톰.
Residents there are still recovering from that blizzard that struck last year. It was so strong.
This is what we got by chopping all the fallen oak trees last year during the winter storm. Only oak trees. Other trees were chipped and all spread around. And another storm is coming up. This is very scary.
성인이 되고 독립을 하면서 지금까지 내 삶의 목표는 하나였다. 생존. 대학원에서 잘리지 않기, 졸업시험 통과하기, 취업해서 비자 받기, 회사에서 살아남기, 오늘 살아남았다고 끝이 아니고 내일도 살아남기. 그럼에도 내가 통제할 수 없는 일들이 닥쳐올 때 내 삶은 순식간에 되감기가 되고 그간 잊고 있었다고 생각했던 아프고 힘들었던 시기의 감정과 막막함이 생생하게 되살아난다.
We don't have heat in the house.
이번 폭풍은 얼마나 오래 지속될까? 이 막막함은 어떻게 다시 견뎌야 하나? 불안함 속 정전은 어김없이 다시 한번 시작됐다. 오, 추워. 하얀.
Preparing for an amazing night of reading.
이 어둠보다 더 오래 지속될 책이었으면 했다. 혼돈을 통해 자유로워지는 이야기, 외로움을 거쳐 함께가 되는 이야기.
It's so dark. I don't think I can read paper books. Where is my ebook reader?
누군가의 말처럼 우리는 혼자가 아니라는 사실을 알기 위해 책을 읽는 것일지도 모른다. 어둠을 견디는데 그보다 도움이 되는 사실이 있을까? 책을 읽으며 꼭 이 책을 쓴 사람을 만나보고 싶다라는 생각을 했다. 어둠의 한 중간에서 나는 그에게 이야기를 나누고 싶다라는 메일을 썼다. 그 순간을 기다리는 동안 비가 그치고 어둠이 걷혔다. 여기서부터는 그와 나눈 이야기의 일부이다. We cannot not talk about hockey when we talk about Beartown trilogy. Hockey is at the center of this story, and hockey is what brings a lot of characters into one place, and they're all connected through hockey. What was your intention of introducing a sports at the core of this story?
I think I could have written the story about any sport, almost. I think I could have written it about a lot of team sports. I probably could have written the same story, but with something else that connects everyone. It could have been one company, but I wanted sports because sports is also, to me, it's all the best things I know about a community, all the best things that I know about human beings often comes out in sports, but also all of the worst things all of the worst instincts in people. It's a human experience you can't get as condensed anywhere else. When I wrote it, I didn't have in mind that it was going to be published abroad. Every time I try to be something for everyone, I just can't do it. I never finished those projects. I've started a million and tried to be what I think that maybe the agents and the publishers and the people, maybe this is what they want, but it never works. I can never figure it out, and it always ends up with me writing something even weirder and even less broad and less mainstream in people's eyes. Most of my publishers, I don't think my Korean publishers, I don't think they jumped of joy saying, oh, he's writing about ice hockey because that's such a great, big sport in Asia. But you don't have to understand the rules of Quidditch to read Harry Potter. It's not important. I tried writing it like it was, if you love hockey, then hopefully you see the details and the nuances and everything that I put in there. But I tried my very best to not make it so big so that people who don't understand hockey would feel alienated. But the reason I chose hockey in particular is because hockey is so incredibly hard, because it requires you to do so many different things. You have to be good at skating, being very soft, having rhythm, having almost a sense of dancing, handling a stick, having that technique. But then it's also incredibly violent. It's also incredibly tough. You have to start as a kid. You have to start at like 3, 4, 5 years old. It requires everything. It's so incredibly hard to become good at. That's what drew me to it.
I don't know much about that sports, but still, I thought it was super beautiful to have that sports at the core of this story. And I don't know, of course, I think you meant it, but the analogy between life and hockey was so beautiful there. Hockey is one thing, but also each book of this trilogy, you introduce at least one very traumatic, significant event. It just hits readers really hard. I mean, at least I was emotionally very, very hit hard, because at this point I read all these pages, and at this point, these are my family. It feels like they're my friends, and what they experience just is how I experience too. And at this point, we have such a strong connection with all the characters in the book. There are so many characters in this book, and they react in a different way to this traumatic event. Some people keep silent, some people leave the town, some people decide to do the revenge, right? What kind of message did you want to convey by introducing such different reactions by different characters?
Almost always a writer will try to have as few characters as possible, I think. You have a character economy. If you edit your books for long enough, sooner or later you're going to have that sense of character economy. Are these too many people? Is it too much? Are there too many names? And so forth. In this case, I did feel like I could justify the amount of characters. I did take a lot of characters out in my defense. My intention was trying to tell a story where you didn't root for everyone, but you understood everyone's motive. It's not entirely good versus entirely evil. It's people who are trying to do the thing that they think is right because they think they're protecting something that they love. Even if you don't root for them, I wanted you to understand why they're doing this, what their motives are.
Another interesting thing is, and also it was my favorite scene too, when Benji and Maya come back to town. So basically Beartown is where they got hurt, where they experienced these tragic events, and that changed them significantly. But they come back to this town eventually, right? It seems like they don't know why too. There is a specific dialogue in the book, they're asking I understand why birds are leaving, but I don't understand why they are coming back. So they come back, but they don't really know why to. Why do you think some people come back to the place where they got hurt or they experienced something hard?
I think to Benji, it's he ran out of places to run to. And I wanted to, he belongs here. And I try to explain that people who are born certain places in the world, certain people, they're so connected to the place where they are from. They're connected to the soil. When they go back, they feel something. It's something in the soil. It's something in the air. It's a physical sensation of being at the place where they're supposed to be. And so I think Benji had that. I think Maya needed to come home to see if she was still the same person. She needed to come home to see if she really had changed or if she just felt different.
I don't know how to express this excitement, but when you kind of pronounce this character's name, that excites me so much. So it is really good to hear that. The last question about the book winner is that the title of the book winner, after finishing this book, I thought, this is the best title that I could imagine for this book. What defines winner in this book? And What do they exactly win? I don't know. To me, the winning in this book doesn't feel like glorious, like all the way. It is complicated, more complicated than that. It's hurting, it's sad, and it's just a lot of things. How do you perceive the process of winning as well?
The title came late. Most of the time I know the title before I start writing. I don't think I've ever written a book where I was so far into the book before figuring out the title. It was really, really late because I had a lot of long titles. I had a lot of, poetic titles that I wanted to use. So this was just a sense of making it shorter and shorter and shorter and trying to find, can I find one or two words? That's really hard. It's really hard to find a word that really encapsulates the entire book and everything that you wanted to say. But it made sense in the end to have it as the winners because all three books is about that. But especially the third one is about winning and losing, but it's also a lot about people who identify themselves as winners. I think you see that everywhere. I think you see that all over the world. I think everyone can relate to that because everyone has met those people. Everyone know who those people are that identify as winners. I'm a winner. It's important for them to win. It's important for them to always have an edge, always be, have an advantage. I think it's a very human response. I think it's a very integral part of how we build a community and how we build a society. And I wanted to explore that. So in the end, the title made sense for that reason.
Did you have different options for the title?
Yeah.
Could you share like one or two?
No, one of them was Those Who Run Towards Fire.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Which is, but
it's mentioned several times repeatedly in the book. Yeah.
So that was a title, but it was very long. If I hadn't found a better title, I wouldn't have used it. And then when I found the winners, even I felt that, well, it's better.
So I brought 14 sentences that you wrote in this Beartown trilogy book. They are from thoughts and dialogues by the characters. I'm curious if this applies to you as a human being, Frederick. You could answer with a yes or no, and then we could revisit to talk about the details. How does that sound? Okay. Everyone thinks it was talent, but it was just practice and obsession. It was the only thing I have in my life.
That's very much for me. I didn't start out with talent at all. I'm not saying that in any way to diminish myself. I don't have a lot of talent for writing. I work. I put in the hours because I've seen talented people work. They work very fast. I work very slow. So I have to work more hours.
What about obsession? Do you have obsession toward your work?
Yeah, but you have to have obsession. You're not going to be a writer if you're not obsessed. It's too many hours. It's too many days. It's too much insecurities. There are too many places where it's too easy to stop and give up. You're not obsessed. You have to have obsession.
I believe in detailed strategy and a solid defense, but above all, I believe in results.
Right, it doesn't apply to me.
If you could choose, would you rather be important or loved?
Loved.
I'm the sort of man who could take offense in an empty room. I've always been told that I'm too serious.
That does apply to me. I think most writers at some point have been told that they're too serious.
But you are really good at writing jokes, Frederick. Your dialogues are brilliant and your jokes are so funny.
Most people who are funny in person are not funny in writing, and most people who are funny in writing are less funny in person. You're funny in one of those ways.
What you create, other can destroy. Create anyway, because in the end, it is between you and God. It was never between you and anyone else anyway.
Yeah, I have to point out that's a quote from Mother Teresa. It's not a quote from Mother Teresa. They found it written on the wall of her, the place where she lived. I try to think that way. I think about writing, about most of the things that I do. I try to teach my kids that's what you do. If you do something and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, you have to spend a significant portion of your life doing this, building this, then you have to find some joy in it. I enjoy the work. I enjoy the struggle of it. I enjoy that it's hard. I like that it's difficult. To me, maybe that's the equivalent of saying that It's never between you and them, it's between you and God. The writing is between you and the writing. There has to be some enjoyment there, even if no one else gets it.
So Frederick, you just said that you enjoyed that struggle, you enjoyed that difficulties in the process of writing. How does that feel differently compared to when you don't like it? So sometimes I feel like when it's hard, I feel like I don't like it because it is hard and difficult.
I mean, there's a certain part of not liking something, not liking a project, not liking how it turned out. That's usually when I leave it. People ask me now that you know, it's been so and so many years since your last book came out, and why haven't you written? I write all the time. It's like they talk like I went on vacation and sat on a beach. I haven't been sitting on a beach a day in my life. I write all the time. I write all the time. I write on my phone. I write on envelopes. I write on napkins. I write in my head. I make things up all the time. But I do give a lot of things up. I surrender a lot of projects. I'm banging my head against the wall here. I can't make this work. It didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. And of course that's painful. And of course that's hard. And of course that's, you know, but you also have to embrace that most of the writing is a struggle. Most writers would tell you there are very few great days, and you have some really, really bad ones to get to maybe one great one. To me, to the writers that I am friends with, to the writers that I have a lot in common with, it's that feeling when it clicks. It's you struggle and you struggle and you struggle and you struggle, and you're trying to make this chapter work, and then all of a sudden you have this one idea, that little key, that's what's going to connect, that's how it comes together, and it clicks, and you have that sense of, I solved it. If you have 4 or 5 moments like these during the course of writing, I mean, The Winners, it's 700 pages long. I think if I had 5 moments where it clicked, where I felt, yeah, this works. This is the picture I had in my mind. If I had 5 moments like that, those are way bigger than actually finishing the book. The sensation of finishing the book is nowhere near those 5 clicks where something worked. No, people ask if, you know, do you have a writing routine? You don't need a writing routine. You need a thinking routine. You need to think a lot. You're going to start taking notes just so you don't forget what you're thinking about. The writing is going to, it's a natural consequence of thinking too much. I meet a lot of people who want to be writers, and I look at their life and I say, well, you don't seem to be bored ever.
Oh, you should be bored to think, start thinking.
Stop having so much fun. You never, I mean, no, but people have, I have a podcast, and, you know, I'm DJing at a club, and I'm doing all of these things, and I also have a little company with my friend, and we do this, and we do. When are you going to write? And when are you going to think? You're never bored. You can't set aside 40 minutes every day to write a book. That's not how it works. You have to be bored a lot. You have to be, you know, go sit at the bus stop, wait for the bus without a phone. You know, go for a drive, go for a walk, go do something without being stimulated all the time. Don't listen to every podcast. Don't watch every TV show. You have to take away something. If you're bored, your brain is going to make something up to not make you be bored. That's how we work.
Frederick, this is so amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm going to recall this conversation after years. Like,